Hey guys, Rory at PCC here. We're going to do a quick tutorial today on removing the Pillion subframe and then fitting an aftermarket exhaust bracket onto the back of the bike in order to allow the exhaust to be mounted but without any of the extra Pillion frame. So, simple mod, sort of mod you can easily do at home. We've got a T30 Torx Bit, T40 and T45 and a couple of ratchets, a torque wrench, and in order to fit this one, which is a unit garage bracket, which I'll just grab here, you will need a 6mm Allen key and also a 13mm spanner just to fit those parts. So this is the bracket that we're going to be fitting. It's a unit garage bracket. We find that this is the best. We use this one for all of our builds. The reason for that is, as you can see here, it's tubular and it's black. And basically that means it matches the bike perfectly. It's a real easy fit. And when it's fitted to the bike, it looks BMW, it looks factory. You can get other aftermarket options. We do them on our website. You know, we've got some different options by different brands like R&G and Evotech. We find this one to be the most sort of authentic to sit with the R9T frame. So in order to carry out this mod, we're going to have to get rid of the exhaust first. That's coming off. As you can see, we've already taken the flap out of this. It gives us a bit more room to work with. That's on one of our other tutorial videos. So have a quick look on the channel below and the link will be in there for that. Another simple job you'll be able to do at home. Once the exhaust comes off, it's going to be a simple case of unbolting these 2 bolts here, 4 bolts across the top and 2 here on the other side. The frame will then come and lift off real simple. You need to take the foot peg off. Sounds daunting. On the left hand side, it's literally just going to be 2 bolts. So it's really no bother. That comes off, and then when we come to put back on, we'll give you all the torque settings as we go. So let me get cracking with taking the exhaust off and getting the Pillion frame off, and then we'll get it lifted. Now, when we come around to the other side of the bike, you'll notice at the moment the bike, how we have it in this form, has been, it's having some custom work done. We've sent the rear sets off to get to be anodized and such. So it's going to be very, very easy to me to pull these off. You won't find it quite as easy on your standard model. So what we tend to do is put a wobbly extension with the T40 bit on the top so that you can basically angle it in. And no matter if the rear sets are fitted or not, you can still find and access this area down here. So the rear set would normally sit right across this, meaning that you'd have to sort of use the wobbly bit or the extension to get in and do what you need to do. Thankfully, we haven't got to worry about that quite so much today. Sometimes worth placing just a cloth or something like that against here to make sure that nothing rubs against the swing arm when you're taking it all off. Now, the parts on this side, the bolts can basically be discarded. You can source another couple of bolts to maybe fill the hole. BMW also do a part that will fit here, like a nice little cover that basically allows these bits not to just be exposed. For the time being, I'm just going to leave these off so we can concentrate on getting the Pillion frame off. If you are planning on putting the Pillion frame on and off and on and off, which is quite possible if you don't tend to take a Pillion often, but you might be going away on a trip or a tour or something, when you go to put the Pillion frame back on, just be really, really careful when you go to put these bolts in. Do not over tighten them. They're captive nuts on the inside of the lay frame here at the end, and if they start to spin, then they're spinning. There's no way really getting back out of that other than to drill and put something else back in. It's an absolute pain. So just go steady. Again, when you're moving this frame from the bike on the removal process, if you're planning on keeping the pillion seat, the OEM 2-part pillion seat, you'll need to just get a Wunderlich rack, or Wunderlich plate, sorry, that you can buy on the website that basically replaces this section here and allows the pillion seat to skip into. So at that point, just make sure you've hooked your hoses and everything off of the rear brake reservoir there. That can come over here. That's the pillion frame gone. That's one part that we wanted to do. Leaves the bike obviously open and exposed. It makes it look a lot cleaner on the rear end. However, we now need a way in order to hold the exhaust on. So in this instance, original bolts can be reused with the unit garage bracket. I'd probably recommend putting some Loctite or something on these ones because they do come with Loctite from factory. Before we do that though, we're just going to need to whip this off with the, there we go. You can just drop that down, to be honest. If this has already been cracked off, which it has, you can drop that down just to make your life a little bit easier. For those of you who are new to the R9T model, or just new to doing maybe custom bike stuff, or want to start getting your hands greasy for the first time, it may seem a bit daunting to take something like a foot peg off. I know it sounds a bit silly, but on the right-hand side, you do have like the rest of the rear controls there. On the left-hand side, all you've got to worry about is the gear lever, and that's totally separate. So really, all that's holding this on is 2 bolts. And if you do that back up to the correct torque setting, you're not going to have any issues, any worries. It's not dangerous or anything. So just go at it. You know, it's one of those things that you can comfortably and confidently take off and put back on without any issues or worries. So I find it best with the unit garage brackets to do the top 2 bolts up first. It does come across a little, should I say, spring loaded a little bit. Right, with these 2 units in place, using a torque wrench on 20 Newton meters, just pop those in and get until we get a click. Again, if you're new to pottering the garage, a torque wrench is absolutely the first thing you need to buy when you go out and buy your toolkit. It makes sure everything's on there nice and safe. With the second part of this bracket, what we're just going to do is just pull it down into place. It's going to be slightly under tension, so I'll pull it down here gently, slide that bolt through, and what that will do now is, you can see here, will allow it to sit behind the footrest when it's up there. So this is now on. This is a lock nut going onto the back. So all you need to do is use your 6mm Allen key and your 13mm spanner there. Until you're nice and tight. There we go. When you're doing this up, once you get it close, use the spanner end to do the nut up onto the bolt. Okay. Footrest can then go back on. Nice and easy. Again, nice and simple, 20 Newton meters on the torque wrench. Just get that one done up, nice and tight, till it clicks. Same on the bottom. Fortunately, we've got 20 here, 20 here, 20 here to make it nice and easy. So, everything here now here is exactly where it needs to be. We've removed the foot pegs and we've given these all somewhere to sit. One thing you will need to transfer across is the rubber bung from your pillion foot peg. So we'll just push this out. It is a push fit, so it's nice and easy. Using the sort of top hat spacer to come in from behind, that then needs to be pushed back onto here. Bit of brute force. There we go. Pop the spacer in from behind. That'll allow you to do it up nice and tight. Again, with anything where like an exhaust, where you're putting an exhaust back onto the bike, do everything up loosely at first and then go back through and tighten it. If you find that you start working your way tight, you might find you get to the end and basically it's not where it needs to be. So especially if you're doing a full system, it's a good tip just to get everything on, get it sort of finger tight and loose, but so you've got a little bit of movement and wobble in there, and then go back through like we're about to do now. On these bolts again, 20 Newton meters on the T45 down here. And then once that gives us the click, we're gonna go up to the top using the T40 and 20 Newton meters once again. And there we go. In real time, that's about a 15-minute or so mod. Cleans up the rear end, gives you the pillion frame, which you can obviously then tip back and forth and back and forth. And it just cleans the back end up and gives you a slicker looking bike. We've got plenty more tutorials on the channel. If you want to go onto there and click through, there's plenty of other mods that are nice, simple and easy mods you can do at home with relatively small amount of tools in order to start sort of your custom venture into the R9T world.